I wanted to just talk about our confidence and where your confidence actually comes from, which is trusting in yourself. And this is an interesting thing. I've been really working on myself as well. I'm speaking from experience on the subject. I'm doing a light walk so I can actually talk about this because otherwise I wouldn't be able to. We're taking out the factors of childhood because childhood is going to affect our confidence. It's going to affect our trusting ourselves. Like any trauma or anything like that from childhood is definitely going to have an effect on us. We understand that, and that's okay. Now, that doesn't mean we don't need to deal with it to fix that issue. It's just saying we're going to accept the fact that that's the issue there. Now we're talking about adulthood, or a lot of people will share and say, I don't have the confidence because of my past experiences, because of my past relationships. It all goes back to those issues. Of course, that is going to be true in a sense. We first have to look at the fact that we lie to ourselves first before anybody else does. We lie to ourselves first. We abandon ourselves first. We distrust ourselves first. By doing all those first, outsiders can come in, they will continue that cycle that we've already established for ourselves. We have to realize that we lie to ourselves about people and situations. We talk ourselves into doing things. And later on, down the road, you're looking at it and you're going, why did I do that? I knew better. You knew better. You lied to yourself about the situation. You lied to yourself about the people you were involved with. You put so much energy and time into that alone that you not only took happiness away from yourself, you caused yourself to struggle. If we were to set boundaries in the first place, we wouldn't experience that, because if it didn't make the list of boundaries, if we didn't check off our list, then we would never go past that point. Say you're in a new relationship. You just met this person, it's just dates, going out to dinner, nothing major. While at dinner, he or she says something, you question it. In that moment, you question it. When you question that, what do you do next? Now then you ask for an explanation. Then you believe the explanation. And it just kind of cycles. As you get to know this person even more and more, you then realize that you're not being told the truth, or things didn't add up, and now you're so far in that you don't want to tell yourself that you made the mistake, that you were wrong. Nobody likes admitting that they were wrong to anybody at all, but most definitely nobody wants to admit that they were wrong to themselves. I've seen people just in business alone who cannot tell themselves the truth. When you can't admit the truth to yourself, you can't admit the truth to anyone else. The thing about admitting the truth to yourself is that admitting the truth to yourself then acknowledges the fact you made the mistake, not the other person. You're the one who allowed that relationship to progress. You're the person who allowed that person to come into your life. You welcomed them. You made excuses for them when you knew there was little things going off in your head that were your little red flags. I've always told my girls, this is a huge thing. Pay attention to the pebbles. I've said this to their friends too. I've mothered many. I've always said, pay attention to the pebbles, because before the big rock falls, the pebbles will hit you first. And that's your warning sign. And for some reason, if we were on the side of a mountain and we were getting hit by rocks, we would look up and be like, hey, what's going on up there? I'm not sure, you know. And then we would see the big boulder coming. But for some reason, in our personal lives, in our relationships, in our business, relationships, we don't do that. We see the pebbles and we're like, oh, that's not pebbles. Well, so you just lied to yourself about what that actually was. And you just caused yourself to go through those things. And finally, when you get out of the relationship, then you pretend that you didn't know, or that you didn't suspect any of the things that you are now saying I needed to get out for. So you lied to yourself. You abandoned yourself first before anyone abandoned you. And this one is going to be a hard one for people, because abandonment is such a major issue. But the reality is that you didn't set your boundaries. You had things you wanted and you didn't want it. And we all have that. We may not write it down, but we all have these things that are like do's and don'ts for us. Or, this is the game changer. Or, this is like, I draw the line right here. Well, that's what those boundaries do. And we are the ones that in that relationship, as we're going into that relationship, we dismiss that boundary. Well, we make an excuse for it. Well, it doesn't really matter that much, or I really like him for this reason, or I really like her for that reason. And we dismiss that boundary and we keep doing it. So reality is that we abandoned ourselves before they ever did. And we have to take responsibility of that. And that goes back to us being honest with ourselves. As we continue to move on in relationships that we know are not good for us, in business deals that we know are going to be a waste of our time, a waste of our money, Because we continue to move forward in situations that we shouldn't move forward in, we now no longer trust ourselves. And we get bogged down by the distrust that we have for ourselves. So now, even the simple things in life, we now lie about to ourselves. Like, I've realized I do it to myself as well. I want to do the clothes every day and have them put up, and I don't want to have this big pile. And then I talk myself out of it, during the day. And then what happens? I don't trust myself to do what I say I'm going to do. If I can't trust myself to do what I say I'm going to do, who am I to expect someone else to do as they say? I can't even do it for myself. I'm the cause. I'm the one who lied to myself. I'm the one who abandoned myself. I'm the one who distrusts myself. This situation does not fit within my boundaries. Instead of doing that, we kept moving forward. We're fighters. I'm a fighter. I believe in people. That's who I am. No, you're lying to yourself because you're not wanting to admit the fact that you made a choice to get into a situation that was not best for you, and you want to put all that blame on the other person, on the situation, on the circumstances that now makes your life difficult, that now makes you unhappy, that now drains everything from you financially, your energy, your love. All those things go back to you. You lied to yourself, you abandoned yourself, you now distrust yourself. So now we have no confidence. We have no confidence because we have nothing left for ourselves. So the only way to get back to what would be best for ourselves is now we have to start fixing our ability to trust ourselves. That means there's little things like, keeping the counter straight. Or it doesn't really matter what it is. You might be the neatest person in the world. I kind of flip flop around. I go from like perfect, and I love when everything's perfect. What I prefer in my life is to walk into a home that is like a hotel room and that somebody is constantly behind me picking everything up. That is what I would prefer. Does that happen? No, because I first lied to myself, and then I abandoned myself, and then I distrust myself. Because what I did is I started working on those little things, those little actions that I could take to then depend on myself again. I expect to depend on my husband. I expect for him not to let me down. But I don't hold myself to the same standard that I hold him to. Well, that's not really fair, is it? And in past relationships, I didn't set the boundaries, and then I lied to myself that this was a good situation. Even in a business situation, I had a business situation once where I remember sitting in my vehicle looking at this. My fence was a stucco wall, and then it had a wooden fence. And I remember just sitting in my vehicle staring at this and thinking, I don't want to give up. I'm a fighter. I can make anything happen. So I'm sitting here lying to myself about the business situation that I'm in instead of walking away and instead of admitting that I made a mistake. I was wrong. I made a mistake. I trusted people that I shouldn't have trusted. But I remember knowing in that moment that this was not a good situation and I needed to walk away from it, but I didn't choose to do so. So I lied to myself first. When I was younger, getting into a relationship, I didn't set any boundaries. And then after that, I was like, okay, I want this one thing. And like, I can't have this one thing. So I set one boundary. And the reality is I should have set a whole bunch of boundaries. And I should have been like, okay, this is my like do's and don'ts. And this is what I expect. And this is what I expect not to happen. And I'm going to live by these. I can't say that nothing good came from those relationships, but I can say that if I would have set boundaries in the very beginning, I would have never ended up there. And I would have never gone through that hurt and that pain and that trauma. And it's all because I lied to myself. I abandoned myself. And abandoned meaning I didn't set the boundaries, and the boundaries that I did have for myself, I didn't honor. And then because of those two things, I no longer trusted myself. So the world around you becomes chaos because the one person you should trust is yourself, and you're just not doing that. And so you ever see those people who are going like asking everybody's opinion, and they're wanting to hear a certain thing, like have it in their mind of what they want you to say. And they come to you and they tell you the scenario and they wait for your response. And when you agree with them, they're like, yeah, the reality is like they don't trust themselves. They've lied to themselves too many times. They didn't honor their boundaries, so they abandoned themselves, and now they can't trust themselves. So they have to go and ask every single person around them. If you want confidence, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to set your boundaries and honor them. You have to build trust in yourself again.